Mwananchi, tabia zako ziko chini, unapenda kulipa hongo na kutumia njia za uongo, una mipango na hata watoto wa kando, haujui hata majina yao. Kura yako uliuza mainifigo, ukakulia hadi dini, kisha wasema tukuthamini, na wewe hapo hauaminiki, na wewe hapo haupangiki.
Wapi kidero when you need to slap somebody? Complain ufisadi kwani ulidhani t-shirt 50 bob leso siku ya campaign ilikuwa free? Ni 5 year loan investment utalipa kingia parliament. We are one, amani we are one. Na utumishi kwa wote, utu missing CCTV we were watching. Racial insecurity na job opportunity ni kama mti ya kibiriti. Side moja heavy, usiniambie Kenya kuna umaskini, kwani hizi fat fingers zinaibia nane? Maskando ina threaten our survival. Media define leadership, na sura ukiaka front page na improve readership. Ambia wase wa Twitter wa hashtag hii ama hash reality doesn't make a good TT. Commission of inquiry wanakula commission bila kutupa ukweli, ni kubaya. Baka kukiwa kuzuri unashindwa nini mbaya. Machozi ya perpetrator ineza dilute damu ya victim ilimwagika. After all is said and done, all will be said, nothing will be done. You're not my tribe, but you're my blood type. Like it doesn't have to take tragedy to know that.
Sheria
And a very good evening to you. This is James WaNjeri right here on your favorite show every Monday, Sheria Dive. I'm full of energy. This is a brilliant start to the week. Ibaridi bwana. You know, me always say, when Kibaki was president, it was not this cold. You also have to remember, this is August, and August is always a special month for Kenya because for some weird reason, we lose a lot of top leaders in Kenya around this August period. Of course, we are not praying for any bad things, and that's not how we want to start the show. Today, we're talking about Shakahola massacre and why the President's Commission of Inquiry into Shakahola was declared unconstitutional. And today, I just want us to actually look at this in a different way. Have you ever wondered why the High Court declares so many presidential decisions unconstitutional? Is that just by design? Or are these things actually done on purpose? And today, that's the conversation I want us to have. Why is it that so many unconstitutional decisions are made? Is that done on purpose? And what is the effect of that on our democracy? Because remember, we have been on a campaign to ensure that our constitution is upheld and promoted and not violated by anyone, even those that are in power. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, the Shakahola Commission of Inquiry. And of course, it's always lovely to have you just join us on this show. Karibu sana. This is Sheria Dive with me, James WaNjeri, right here on Pawa Radio. And I can't wait for us to discuss this matter. And surprise, surprise, this case was actually filed by the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party. Some of those guys are in government now. So Kenya is a country where anything can happen, especially when it comes to politics. There are no permanent enemies. But why did the High Court make the decision that it made? And what is the lesson for us? And how can you and I then ensure that our constitution is upheld in this country that we love called Kenya? So let's get some music. And then when we come back, we begin to dissect this decision of the court. What was the reasoning behind it? What were some of the things that made the petitioners go to court? and what is the lesson for us moving forward? Remember, this is Sheria Dive, and it's lovely to have you here. Remember, if there's someone who needs to be listening to this, why don't you share that link with them, whether on YouTube or on or our live feed on the internet. Just share that with them, and let's have this conversation. We'd like to hear your thoughts and your views. I am checking out the YouTube chat. If you have a question, you can just post that on the YouTube chat. We can look at that. But also you can reach out to us on the socials at Pawa Radio and at James WaNjeri. We're going to be replying to those questions and to your tweets and your responses. Sawa, let's go.
Pawa Radio. Tune in and power up.
Yes, that is Winyo. And you know, on this show, Winyo is like our number one guy. We're always into that Winyo music. Fantastic. Now, sometime in 2023, the president formed a commission of inquiry to investigate the Shakahola cult deaths that had shocked the country. And that commission of inquiry was chaired by Justice Jesse Lesit, who is a Court of Appeal judge. And the commission mandate was to inquire into the deaths, the torture, and inhumane and degrading treatment of members and individuals linked to Pastor Paul Mackenzie-led Good News International Church in Malindi, Kilifi County. The other commissioners in that commission of inquiry were Justices retired Mary Kasango, Dr. Frank Jenga, who's a psychiatrist, Mr. Eric Gumbo, who's an advocate, Bishop Catherine Mutua, Dr. Jonathan Lodompui, Mr. Wanyama Musiambu, and Mr. Albert Musasia. Of course, the president also appointed joint secretaries, one of which is Mr. Oliver Karori and Ms. Rachel Minor. And Senior Counsel Kyoko Kilukumi was appointed as the lead counsel to be assisted by Ms. Vivian Nyambeki and Mr. Bahati Mamuye. Of course, now Bahati Mamuye is a judge of the High Court of Kenya. And the purpose for this commission is that part of the TOR for them was that they were to prepare a report and submit its recommendation to President Ruto within a 6-month period. What they were also being tasked to do was to establish under what circumstances did the deaths occur, and also to inquire into the legal, the institutional, administrative, security, and intelligence lapses that may have contributed to the occurrence of the tragedy. Remember, over 100 bodies were discovered in Shakahola. And part of the question was, how is it that you can have all those people dying and no one notices? No one is actually saying we've lost these people. So how is it that so many people can die in Kenya and they are buried in unmarked graves and there is no uproar about it? Where were the police? Where was the intelligence service? Now, part of the commission was also being tasked with identifying people and organizations who bear the greatest responsibility for the Shakahola massacre, and they were to recommend specific actions that should be taken against them, including criminal investigations. Also, the commission was expected to inquire into the factors that led to the rise of the Good News International Church, which is led by Mackenzie, and other factors that give rise to such religious extremist institutions, occult groups, and other formations that foster negative religious-based activities. Now, soon thereafter, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party filed a petition before the High Court of Kenya. And the respondents, remember, the petitioner is the person who takes the matter to court. The respondent is a person who responds, to the case. The President of Kenya was cited as the first respondent, followed by the Attorney General, the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Inspector General of Police, the National Intelligence Service, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the Public Service Commission, the Commission for Administrative Justice, and the Independence Police Oversight Authority were also cited as respondents, coming to a total of 10 respondents, with the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights being the interested party. And the petition stated that on 8th of May 2023, the president, by a gazette notice, appointed or purported to establish a commission of inquiry, which he called the Commission of Inquiry into the Shakahola tragedy. Now, part of what they wanted the court to declare was that, number one, that decision to establish that commission of inquiry, was done, and he was nominating personal nominees who were identified, nominated, empowered, and mandated at his absolute whim and discretion. And consequently, it was an initiative by the president to undermine the constitutional mandate and authority of those constitutional institutions, state organs, and state officers. All right? So basically, they were saying that by establishing this commission of inquiry, the president is usurping the sovereignty of the people because he's attempting to donate powers to other institutions, yet those powers have already been assigned to specific institutions under the Constitution of Kenya. The other thing as well they wanted the court to find is that by forming this commission of inquiry, the president had usurped the powers and was undermining the authority of the judiciary. There was a question of independence of the judiciary. He was also undermining the authority of the Public Service Commission, the National Intelligence Service, the Senate, the Independence Policing Oversight Authority, and the Kenya National Human Rights Commission, Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission, and the Director of the Public Prosecutions, together with the Inspector General. The other thing as well is that there is a law known as the Commissions of Inquiry Act of 1962. Azimio la Umoja Coalition wanted that act to be declared unconstitutional, and also they specifically wanted Section 3 of that Commission of Inquiry Act of 1962, which was revised in 2010, to be declared unconstitutional. And of course, when you go to court, you always ask that costs are awarded to you. Now, what really was the argument here? You remember all these institutions that have been mentioned. Basically, what Azimio la Umoja Coalition was saying is that what the president has done by appointing this commission of inquiry, he has done it, number one, by himself. He has not consulted anyone in making that decision. But secondly, he has donated powers to this commission, and those powers have already been put within the control of certain constitutional offices. So basically, if you set up this commission, you are taking away power from, let's say, the Inspector General of Police, or from the Director of Public Prosecutions, or from the Public Service Commission, and you're going ahead to establish this commission contrary to the Constitution. And so, in a sense, by taking away, for instance, the power of the Director of Public Prosecutions, that then means that you are making an unconstitutional decision. And one of the questions I always ask myself is, you will notice in this country that on very many occasions, we actually have decisions of the president being declared unconstitutional. Is this accidental? And my opinion is that it's not. I think the president, for instance, has so many resources at his disposal and at his discretion, which means part of those resources is legal advice. And the president is actually able to get legal advice, and that legal advice is able to tell him, Mr. President, if you want to do this, this is the way to go about it. How does a decision that is declared unconstitutional then violate our democracy? Remember, democracy is a rule of the people, by the people, and for the people. And there are certain decisions that can be made that end up undermining democracy because they take away the powers of the people, they take away the sovereignty of the people. Part of the challenge that Kenya had when we were coming up with our constitution in 2010 was that before 2010, we had a constitution that had been amended so many times. And every amendment, the power of that amendment was to ensure that the president became more and more powerful. Okay, so we had a very, very powerful president. And so one of the things that the 2010 constitution sought to do was to distribute this power, this presidential power. How do you distribute that presidential power in a way that ensures that you don't have an all-powerful president? But also, one of the things the Constitution was also doing is that prior to 2010, we had a lot of institutions in Kenya that were at the mercy of the president. Okay, you remember that was even the time where the president could wake up one day and just dissolve parliament and we all go for the general election. No procedure followed, nothing. Okay, and so one of the things that was desired was, how do we tame the presidency? How do we distribute the powers of the presidency? Because remember, if a democracy requires reliance on an individual, then that is not a democracy. So what is the response? What is the answer? You have to set up institutions, and you have to give those institutions proper powers. You have to give those institutions the proper resources, so that with those resources, then regardless of who is in power, regardless of who is the president, we still have a country. Because remember, men come and go, women come and go. But when you have institutions, it means that things can continue to operate normally. And of course, one of the challenges we have in Kenya is there has been this belief for a very long time that if the president is not there or if something happens to the president, then everything comes to a standstill, or the whole country burns, all that. I think I remember seeing, I think it was the Switzerland, where these guys are having an election and it's not even a holiday. It's a normal day. You go to work, you vote, and then you go back to work. These guys, their countries where they've not had a president for several days, weeks, or even months, and everything is just going along well. Why? Because of institutions. So the court then had to determine what was the mandate of the Commission of Inquiry into the Shakahola tragedy. And you compare that with the constitutional mandate of those organizations or those agencies or those government bodies that we've spoken about, the ODPP, the Public Service Commission, all that. And then the court was now to determine if the president had the powers, by making this decision, had usurped the powers of the independent offices and the commission. And of course, the court began by looking at Article 131 of the Constitution, which spells out the president's constitutional responsibilities as follows. Number 1, the president shall respect, uphold, and safeguard this Constitution. 2, the president shall safeguard the sovereignty of the Republic. 3, the president shall promote and enhance the unity of the nation. 4, the president shall promote respect for the diversity of the people and communities of Kenya. And finally, the president shall ensure the protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms and the rule of law. Now, under Article 132.4 of the Constitution, the president is also allowed to undertake the following functions. Number 1, he can perform any other executive function that is provided for in the Constitution or in national legislation, and except as otherwise provided for in this Constitution, he may establish an office in the public service in accordance with the recommendation of the Public Service Commission. Number 2, of course, we know that the president can also receive foreign diplomatic and consular representatives. He can also confer honors in the name of the people and the Republic. Remember Githeri man? The president is also subject to Article 58. He can declare a state of emergency. And with the approval of Parliament, he can declare war. Now, it's interesting to note that when you look at Article 129 of the Constitution, it declares that executive authority derives from the people of Kenya and shall be exercised in accordance with the Constitution of Kenya. And at all times, executive authority, which lies in the office of the president, shall be exercised in a manner compatible with the principle of service to the people of Kenya and for their well-being and benefit. I don't know how many of our leaders in the executive actually know that Article 129 exists and what it means for the country of Kenya. So anytime the president is making any decisions in his role, anytime the executive authority is being exercised, that has to be done in accordance with the Constitution because it is derived from the people of Kenya. So the president cannot act against the people at any time. Whatever decision makes, it has to be in the best interest of the people, and it has to be as guided by the Constitution. So one of the big issues that Azimio la Umoja coalition had was that the president went beyond the scope of authority in establishing the Commission of Inquiry into Shakahola tragedy because he assigned it the mandate that constitutionally belongs to independent constitutional offices and commissions, and because of that, his actions violated the Constitution. Azimio la Umoja, the argument was that the president cannot use an act of parliament to take away constitutional responsibilities belonging to independent constitutional bodies and offices and then assign them to a commission of inquiry that he has established. So what were some of these decisions? What were some of these powers that he was choosing to take away and give to this commission of inquiry? We're going to be talking about that after we come back from this music break. But for now, let's get some music.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
the continent of Africa, we know that we have labored under painful conditions and circumstances. There are still burdens that we have to bear because the continent does not create or has not created an environment where we can fulfill our ambition in all its splendor.
Oh, that's real good. Oh, I'm just losing my mind, that's all.
That's DJ Fita with The System. We're talking about Shakahola Commission of Inquiry that had been established by the president and why the High Court of Kenya has found it to be unconstitutional. The court began by looking at the terms of reference. Okay? There were 4 terms of reference that the court wanted to look at. Number 1, the commission was supposed to inquire into the matter of the deaths, torture, inhumane and degrading treatment of members and other persons linked to the Good News International Church in Kilifi County. They were also to establish the circumstances under which the deaths, torture, inhumane and degrading treatment occurred. The third thing, they were to inquire into the legal, institutional, administrative, security and intelligence lapses that may have contributed to the occurrence of the Shakahola tragedy. And they were to identify the persons and organizations who bear the greatest responsibility for the Shakahola tragedy and to recommend specific actions that should be taken against them. Now, just by listening to that, already it tells you there's a problem. Why? Because number 1, investigation of the death and identification of persons and organizations who bear the greatest responsibility and the recommendations for the specific actions to be taken against them is a responsibility that belongs to the National Police Service. The National Police Service has an exclusive mandate to investigate crime. Investigation of deaths, which is homicide, is specifically assigned to the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, which is under the National Police Service. The National Police Service itself is established under Article 243(1) of the Constitution, and of course, it's operationalized under the National Police Service Act. Okay? Now, if you look at Section 35 of that Act, the DCI, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, has the following roles. Number 1, they collect and provide criminal intelligence. And number 2, they undertake investigations on serious crimes, including homicide, narcotic crimes, human trafficking, money laundering, terrorism, economic crimes, piracy, organized crime, and cybercrime, among others. Now, can the president direct the Inspector General of Police how to work, or can the Cabinet Secretary direct the Inspector General of Police on how to work? And Article 245(4)(b) of the Constitution, the Cabinet Secretary may give directions on any matter concerning policy for the National Police Service, but no person may give direction to the Inspector General with respect to the investigation of any particular offense or offenses. As a matter of fact, the only exception we have to this rule is under Article 157.4 of the Constitution, which recognizes that the Director of Public Prosecutions can direct the Inspector General of Police to investigate any information or allegation of criminal conduct, and the Inspector General shall then comply with such direction. The court was of the view that, given these constitutional and statutory positions discussed, it is difficult to see how the action of the president using the powers under the Commission of Inquiry Act can constitutionally confer the mandate of the police to investigate crime and purport to bestow it on a commission of inquiry. It is not constitutionally viable to establish a commission of inquiry with parallel mandate of investigating offenses of death committed in Shakahola, as that is a specific mandate of the police. And I have to tell you, the IG of police did not actually file a response to say, yes, the president is violating the Constitution by taking away my powers. It did not do that. The other thing is that this commission was required to investigate violation of human rights. Okay? They were to inquire into the torture, inhumane and degrading treatment of members and other persons linked to the Good News Ministry Church. Now, if you look at Article 59.1 of the Constitution of Kenya, it sets up the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. And Article 59.1e, the Kenya National Commission of Human Rights has the mandate to receive and investigate complaints about alleged abuses of human rights and take steps to secure appropriate redress where human rights have been violated. The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights Act, at its preamble, provides that part of their role, is to provide powers functions to the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights and for connected purposes. Among their functions at Section 8 of that Kenya National Commission on Human Rights Act is that the commission can, on its own initiative or on the basis of complaints, investigate or research matter in respect of human rights and make recommendations to improve the functioning of state organs. Now, the Prevention of Torture Act 2017 under Section 2 provides that reference to the commission. When we talk about the commission in the Prevention of Torture Act, we're talking about the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the KNCHR. And of course, part of their powers, even under that act, is to investigate alleged violations or the provisions of the Prevention of Torture Act. And this is what the court says. Evidently, therefore, by creating a commission of inquiry to inquire into torture, inhumane and degrading treatment of members and other persons linked to the Good News, the president had unilaterally seized the Kenya National Commission of Human Rights' explicit mandate and allocated it to a commission of inquiry he created. That action was unconstitutional. And of course, the Attorney General was in court to support the president and saying that the Constitution requires the president to ensure protection and observance of human rights and fundamental freedoms. And the court said, no, come on, that's not how to interpret the Constitution. Justice Mugambi of the High Court was clear. The president should respect the specific mandate given to the independent offices and commissions under the Constitution. He cannot create extra constitutional bodies to undertake that specific function belonging to agencies created by the Constitution. He cannot use general powers to override specific powers. And I think this is actually the clincher of this decision. The president cannot use his general powers to override specific powers. Okay? Although the president is under an obligation to embody the observance of human rights in the performance of his responsibilities, that does not give him the latitude to appropriate specific responsibility assigned to other constitutional bodies. And the Attorney General then argues and says, wait a minute, Judge, the performance of these duties by the Commission of Inquiry does not hinder, but it actually complements the work of the commissions and independent offices. The court says no. taking away the specific duties of a constitutional or statutory body and assigning them to a body created by the president is undermining the independent constitutional bodies and offices. Plucking the various constitutional mandates and unilaterally concentrating them on a commission of inquiry is unconstitutional, null, and void. That is what the court said. That is the reason the president could not make the decision that he made. Because the court was of the view that there is an overlap. There is a clear overlap between the mandate this commission is being given and the mandate of constitutional and statutory bodies. So, for instance, one of the things they were meant to do was to investigate any conduct in state affairs or any act or omission in public administration in any sphere of government that they alleged or suspected to be prejudicial or improper or result in any impropriety, and to investigate complaints of abuse of power. So basically, this commission of inquiry has a responsibility to investigate questions of abuse of power, unfair treatment, manifest injustice or unlawful, oppressive, unfair, or unresponsive official conduct. And the court says, wait a minute. If you look at the Commission on Administrative Justice Act, Section 8, there is a clear overlap. You guys want to do the same thing that the Commission on Administrative Justice, the Ombudsman, has been created to do. So how is it that a commission can take away the role of a constitutionally established body? This is what the court says. On the basis of these findings, I am satisfied that the president assigned the Commission of Inquiry into Shakahola tragedy a mandate that the Constitution specifically set aside for independent constitutional bodies and offices, as has been demonstrated. The president had no authority to confer specific constitutional mandates belonging to independent constitutional commissions and independent offices based using the powers derived from an act of parliament, a statute. That action was clearly unconstitutional. When we come back, we look at the challenge on the Commission of Inquiry Act, because it was the act that was being used to set up this Commission of Inquiry. The Azimio la Umoja coalition wanted that act to be declared unconstitutional. What did the court say with regards to that? Remember, we're looking out for your comments and questions, and we'll be responding to those. If you have any questions, you can use the YouTube chat feature as well. You can also just put your question online on @Pawa Radio, @James WaNjeri. We run into that, we're going to be sure to answer it.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Pawa Radio.
Where are we going? That's MJ Wemoto Waidaka and Polaris Pauline. Where? Now we're talking about Shakahola, and we found why the court found that the Commission of Inquiry was unconstitutional was because it was taking away the powers of independent constitutional commissions and independent offices, which is against the Constitution. Now, one of the other things they wanted was that they wanted that act, known as the Commission of Inquiry Act, to be declared unconstitutional. Okay? Section 3 of that act says it gives the president immeasurable prerogative powers to inquire into the conduct of any public officer or the conduct or management of any public body or into any matter which an inquiry would, in the opinion of the president, be in the public interest. This is actually the law that gives the president the power to set up these commissions of inquiry. Okay? The court, by looking at this and how it had been applied in this specific incident, said it is a finding of this court that Section 3 of the Commission of Inquiry Act is a relic of the imperial presidency. It is not aligned with the current constitutional values and principles on separation of powers and independence of the judiciary, hence unconstitutional, null and void. And what was the issue with the independence of the judiciary? Remember, what was happening here is that the president was appointing a judge to actually chair that commission of inquiry. Okay? That judge comes from the judiciary. Now, when Felix Kosgei, who is the head of public service, filed an affidavit, he said that prior to the appointment of Justice Lesit to the commission, the president had consulted with the Chief Justice. But the court said that may perfectly be so, but the consultation was out of a pure act of deference, not as a result of any binding legal obligation. Section 3 of the Commission of Inquiry Act does not oblige the president to consult. It does not embody this important constitutional safeguard whenever the president finds it necessary to appoint a judge to undertake such an assignment. The president can exercise that power as he pleases if he decides so, and there lies the threat to the principle of constitutional separation of powers and the independence of the judiciary. Now, let me tell you something about the independence of the judiciary. Before 2010 Constitution, the president used to be the one who appoints judges. He could appoint anyone as a judge, and there's always a story that is told of one guy. This guy was a lawyer, and he used to eat clients' money. And he decided to retreat to his rural home because he thought that some people were coming after him because he had eaten clients' money, he had disappeared, cases had been filed against him because of stealing clients' money. And one day he just sees some Peugeot 504s that have come into his compound. What does a guy do? He runs out of the house and into the shamba. And these guys are running after him. Why? In his mind, he's like, these guys have come to arrest me because of the things that I did. When the police finally catch up with him, the special branch at the time, they tell him, we are here to take you to Nairobi under the president's orders. And he asks them why. He's told, you're going to find out when you get there. He's told to wear a suit. He wears a suit. That guy is taken straight to State House where he's sworn in as a judge. That was the reality. That was a clear reality of how life was under Moi. So the 2010 Constitution decided we need to take away the power to appoint judges from the president, because if the president is the one giving you the job, then you are beholden to him. You cannot criticize him. You cannot rule against him. You cannot make a decision that does not make the president happy. That is where the idea for judicial independence comes in, that the executive and the judiciary and the legislature, which is parliament, they should all be separate. No one should be interfering with the other's work. No one should be doing the other person's work. That is why parliament cannot be the one to, you cannot be brought to parliament to be judged and then a decision is made against you. That cannot happen. That role specifically resides with the judiciary. The judiciary cannot also make laws. They cannot be the ones to say, we are creating this act and this is how things will be done. No. Their work is to interpret the laws, and where the laws are unconstitutional, to find them unconstitutional. So what was happening here, the Commission of Inquiry Act has no specific provision saying that if the president is going to appoint a judge to actually get into these commissions, they have to consult with the Chief Justice, who is the head of the judiciary. And because of that, way of doing things violates the Constitution of Kenya because it interferes with the independence of the judiciary. All right? For those reasons, that commission of inquiry was found unconstitutional. And you really wonder how a judge accepted the job. If the judge had just looked at the TOR, the terms of reference of that commission, even the judge would just have said, I think here there's a problem and I should not even be accepting this position. But surprise, surprise, the judge was busy being holding up the Bible to serve in that commission, which just tells you this country, it needs a proper cleanup. We're almost done with this show. Remember, we only do this at 5 to 6. So let's get some music and then when we come back, we discuss how does such a decision by the president, doing things that take away the powers of constitutional bodies and independent commissions, how does that actually, how does that affect our democracy? And why should such things be done away with? Let's go.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
That's Lisa with Nimawe. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have a theory. I think the government actually makes certain decisions knowing they're unconstitutional on purpose. And the reason this is done is so that the real work will never be done. The truth about Shakahola will probably never come out. Because with this decision by the High Court, the president can always say, I tried and the court stopped me. But is that an answer we should actually accept? I don't think so. For this reason, what the court has said is that there are already institutions, constitutional institutions and independent offices that have been set up. Use those channels. Use the institutions. Instead of weakening the institutions, strengthen the institutions. That is what the court is saying. But will they do that? No. Because it's always easy to get a commission of inquiry, because what happens, they'll give you a report, you can put it on the shelf, it will gather dust and nothing will ever be done. When we talk about upholding the Constitution and ensuring that we do not violate the Constitution, what we are saying is Kenya's Constitution has a very clear roadmap. It gives very clear guidelines. And where you are questioning anything, you have the right to go to court and say, please clarify this for us. How should we do this? There is a lack of will. There's a lack of honesty. There is a lack of purpose when it comes to ensuring that we uphold the Constitution in this country. Why? Because the ruling class and the political class know that once we begin to uphold the Constitution, it means that their actions will be under the magnifying lens. But no. What do they want to do? They want to do things the old way. They want to still have the imperial presidency. And they actually are not willing to do anything about the problems that are being faced. The people of Shakahola will probably never ever get justice. Because if the plan was to get them justice, the DCI would have been told, do this. The Commission on Administrative Justice would have been told, do this. The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights would have been told, okay, this is your role, do this. The Public Service Commission would have been told, this is your role, do this. Come back to me in 3 to 6 months and report to me and tell me what have you been able to do about that. Will that ever be done? Your guess is as good as mine. But remember, as we always say on this show, Kenya ni home. This is the only place we have. This is the only home we have. We're going to fight for it. And one day, we're going to gift ourselves a nation. Ladies and gentlemen, have a lovely rest of the week. Be safe. Stay alive. We need you for the new Kenya. God bless you all.
Power Radio. Tune in and power up.
Tunapita kama moshi na kabla tuzame mchangani, kuna kushinda na kufeli. Oh, inabidi ujijue tofauti ya mwalimu na mwanafunzi ni ujuzi na ujuaji. Oh, it's unbelievable that we make it this far. Undeniable, we see the promised land from afar, and it's so beautiful. No, they can't touch the fire, and you know it's not in vain. Steady tripping through the pain. Oh, well. Steady rocking on the midnight train. Steady rocking on the midnight train. Oh Lord, oh Lord, steady rocking on the midnight train. Steady rocking on the midnight train. On the midnight train. Siku zazidi badilika,
from afar. So beautiful, they gon' know who we are. They keep on walking in the rain. Kuna blessings in the pain. Steady rocking in the midnight train. Steady, ready, ready, ready. Steady rocking in the midnight train. Oh Lord, steady rocking in the midnight train. To Zion, to Zion, Zion. It's on our road to Zion. Nothing will ever deny us. Whatever it takes, keep on rocking. Whatever it takes, keep on moving. To Zion, to Zion, to Zion. Yeah, 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 yeah. On the midnight train. Steady rocking on the midnight train. Oh, steady rocking on the midnight train. To Zion, to Zion, to Zion, to Zion. Steady rocking on the midnight train. Steady rocking on the midnight train. Oh Lord, steady rocking on the midnight train. To Zion, to Zion.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.